The sands of Egypt conceal secrets and stories that ignite our imagination and our desire to uncover the past of one of the history's greatest civilizations. After the arduous times of the Old Kingdom, the Egyptians managed to reclaim their lost territories and trade routes, marking the dawn of a new era of prosperity. This new phase of Egyptian history, known as the Middle Kingdom, began approximately 4,050 years ago and lasted for about 3 centuries. During this period, active military control was established throughout the country. To revitalize the economy, new irrigation systems and monuments to the gods were constructed. It was also at this time that Pharaoh Mentuhotep II initiated military campaigns into Nubia, a region rich in gold and precious stones. This was crucial for the depleted Egyptian treasury. The struggle against the Nubians lasted for many years, and despite their tenacity, the Egyptians were unable to completely defeat their opponents, demonstrating the immense military capability of this African tribe. Mentuhotep II died after an impressive 51 years on the throne. He was buried with 6 of his wives in the burial complex at Deir el-Bahari. Egypt regained its financial power without facing significant external threats, and the empire truly entered the Middle Kingdom period. During the Middle Kingdom, the belief in an afterlife became even more widespread. Death, already considered a ritual of transition, grew in importance in the daily lives of Egyptians. Rulers also adopted the practice of using pyramids as tombs, ordering the constructions of ever larger monuments. The construction of pyramids began during the Old Kingdom. The Pyramid of Djoser was the first, built approximately 4,630 years ago, northwest of the city of Memphis. The Pyramid of Djoser and its mortuary complex are considered the oldest monumental stone structures in the world. They were designed by the architect Imhotep, who was likely one of the most important men in Egypt at the time. Imhotep was a polymath, associated with various fields such as medicine, architecture, religion, and carpentry. He belonged to a small group of commoners in Egypt who achieved divine status. This status was usually granted to the most important members of the royal family. Imhotep's existence is proven by 2 carvings etched on the base of one of Djoser's statues. Imhotep was such an important figure that even after his death, he was worshipped. His tomb was hidden and has not yet been found. To this day, 123 pyramids have been found in Egypt, some of which are practically ruined. The decision to build pyramid-shaped structures as monuments was due to this form being the most stable way to construct a monument, as the base is wider and heavier than the top. If a pyramid collapsed due to an incorrect shape or unsuitable materials, the builder responsible for the work would be punished with a death penalty. However, the famous bent pyramid exists and has survived to this day. Its shape was altered during construction. The construction of the pyramids required great physical effort and meticulous logistics. Each granite stone weighed about 2.5 tons. The stones were quarried sometimes as far as 800 kilometers from the construction site. Later, they were loaded into barges and transported along the Nile River. After that, the stones were brought to the construction site with the help of ropes and sledges, where they were cut and polished until they reached the desired shape. Only then were they dragged up ramps to the required position. The exact number of workers involved in the construction is unknown. It is believed that more than 30,000 men participated in the construction of these monuments. Most of them were free men who received wages and were exempt from taxes. Slaves were also used in the construction, performing the heaviest and most dangerous tasks. The pyramids were built by order of the pharaohs, who wanted to use them as tombs and symbols of power and authority. The pyramids themselves also held symbolic meaning for ordinary Egyptians, who believed that everything originated from a primordial hill shaped like a pyramid. The most famous pyramids are those of Giza, located in the Giza necropolis near Cairo. The necropolis contains 3 main pyramids. The largest is the Pyramid of Khufu, the middle one is Khafre, and the smallest is Menkaure. Next to the large pyramids, there are also several smaller structures called Queen's Pyramids. The Great Sphinx is also part of the necropolis. The pyramids used to be covered with polished white limestone, whose reflected light could be seen from afar. At the top, there was a stone cap adorned with hieroglyphic writings. The apex of some pyramids was made of or covered with gold. It must have been a breathtaking sight. The Pyramid of Khufu was once 146 meters high, but today only 138 meters remain. It is the oldest of the 7 wonders of the ancient world, and the only one that still exists. Almost all pyramids were plundered and damaged. The limestone coverings inside and out were ripped off, and granite stones were used for centuries to build other structures. This urge to build colossal burial monuments stemmed from the ancient Egyptian religion, which strongly influenced people's views on life and death. Egyptians left no written sources that clearly explain their beliefs. For this reason, modern historians use drawings and inscriptions preserved in temples and tombs as their source. Another source for this study is 3 collections of hieroglyphic texts from different periods: the Pyramid texts, the Coffin texts, and the Book of the Dead. Ancient Egyptians believed that those of divine blood could be resurrected after several hundred years and rule Egypt again. This concept of death and rebirth explains why pharaohs created an environment where they could preserve their bodies and return to life. Mummification was intended to preserve the body to which the ruler would return, and valuable items, clothing, and jewelry were also placed in the pharaoh's tomb. During the Old Kingdom, the pharaoh's personal servants, animals, and priests were often sacrificed. His wife or wives were also buried alongside the pharaoh. However, this practice ceased to exist during the Middle Kingdom. Sarcophagi were also vitally important for the pharaoh's reincarnation. The pharaoh's face was carved into the sarcophagi with the greatest possible accuracy. Upon the spirit's return to the body, the pharaoh could remember what he looked like in life. Today, Islam is the official religion of Egypt. However, there are still groups that maintain the ancient religion and worship the old gods. This religion is called Kemetism. The last pharaoh to rule Egypt during the Middle Kingdom was Amenemhat III. During his reign, he allowed Semitic Asians to settle in the Nile River Delta. These people were seeking refuge from the growing threats of the Assyrian Empire. These people were known as the Hyksos, a term that can be translated as shepherd kings. Around 3,650 years ago, uncontrolled Nile floods destroyed part of Egypt's plantations, impacting the economy and consequently weakening the entire empire. The Hyksos took advantage of this instability and began to control some cities in the Nile Delta. The Hyksos established their own dynasty and elected a pharaoh, following the model of the Egyptian state. The Egyptian rulers retreated to Thebes, thus becoming trapped between the Hyksos kingdom in the north and the kingdom of Kush in the south. This period of Egyptian history became known as the Second Intermediate Period. Although they were invaders, the Hyksos also influenced Egyptian culture by bringing good horses, more advanced chariots, and new weaving technologies. For about 30 years, the Egyptians fought against the Hyksos, but then Pharaoh Ahmose, after achieving several important military victories, drove the Hyksos out of Egypt. This re-establishment of Egyptian rule marked the beginning of a new kingdom era.